My name is Janet Lee Sheriff. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of Verdera Energy Corp, which is focused in New Mexico and holds a large advanced uranium portfolio.
Janet, good to see you. Good to see you. We're kind of going to introduce Verdera to the market. To do that, we better work out where it's come from and why it's been created. So what can you tell us?
So the New Mexico assets, which include 400 square miles of mineral rights across the state, largest mineral rights landholding in New Mexico, and 88 million pounds of known and historic uranium assets. We're in enCore Energy, and enCore is production focused. The assets are solid, but they're in Texas. They've got two plants going. They're busy, and they didn't have the team that could take this on. These assets aren't exploration assets, but similar to what they did with nuclear fuels when they spun out their exploration assets in Wyoming, they wanted to spin out these assets into Verdera, and in that transaction, received some cash and 50 million shares of Verdera. 35 million are being divested and distributed to the shareholders of enCore, and enCore will hold 15 million shares for about 14% of the company.
Right. So what can you tell us about the actual asset itself? Obviously, it sits in New Mexico, but let's talk about that. As a uranium or mining jurisdiction, what can you tell us?
So New Mexico, if it were its own country, would be known as the 7th largest uranium producing district in the world. 40% of all the uranium produced has come from New Mexico. And with the push for domestic energy and domestic independence in the nuclear fuel cycle, New Mexico is vital to the U.S. in order to meet those goals. So the assets that we have were actually developed decades ago. They were advanced by oil and gas companies, Phillips, Conoco, Kerr-McGee, all developed, many of them into the 70s, and really give us a portfolio of advanced assets that have known resources that are calculated at quite a high cutoff grade, because they used a very different cutoff grade back in the 70s.
Right, and what did we talk about? Hard rock, ISR?
All ISR.
Okay.
And, yeah, everything's ISR. We have 4 major projects in our portfolio. The other thing that we have that's quite significant is we have a large database. As everyone knows from my husband Bill, he loves data. He holds personally many databases, but Verdera also, between the acquisition, has the majority of the URI data, uranium resources, and the Kerr-McGee data. So we're holding approximately 90% of all the data in New Mexico.
In New Mexico, not just for this project. Okay. Right. So we talk about 88, well, you mentioned 88 million pounds of historic uranium. It's not 43101 compliant, we better obviously say that out of the gate. So tell me about the work that needs to be done with this data to reinterpret it so you can actually understand what you're going to be doing.
Our qualifying transaction, right now doing a financing, we're looking at, we'll have a listing known within the next week or so, We'll know our go public date. Our qualifying transactions, the Crown Point Hosta Butte project, which does have a 43101 compliant resource of about 28 million pounds. West Largo is the highest grade ISR project in the United States at 3.3. And it has about 20 million pounds. So, but those are historic. West Largo, Ambrosia Lake, we'll be updating those in the next year.
Right. In terms of, right, so understood. So, but coming back to the kind of data analysis bit, so obviously enCore known for exploration and our production. In terms of bringing over the skill sets necessary to kind of get this thing going, what are you imagining? How are you imagining that works?
We are very fortunate to have a working relationship with enCore. They bring a strong technical team, especially on our Ambrosia Lake project, which has was previously operated by BHP. They had the 70% of the Ambrosia property to the north of us. We had the bottom 30%. They, under Rio Algum, were stope mining as late as a number of years ago. enCore brings a great talent pool to this organization with the technical knowledge on remote satellites, CPP. So we look forward to working with them. Once we get our resources up, the two projects, we move into technical reports. So that's when enCore comes in.
Okay, so you kind of got the backup and the access there. Let's talk about the money. You're talking about doing a raise now. What are you going out with?
So we have Haywood and Sprott Capital Partners are leading what is a $20 million qualifying transaction. It's $1 per subscription receipt. So we're in the final stages of the IPO and the listing right now.
Do you know what sort of figure you're going for?
20 million.
20 million. Okay, that's a lot of dry powder. So when do you think you're going to be in a position to actually sort of work out what you want to do and the best way to kind of to come at the project?
Yeah, so our initial plans are West Largo. We have a significant historic resource there right now. We want to modernize it. That will be in the first year. So we've got a few $1 million dedicated to that. It's all on private land. It is a solid drill program conducted by an oil and gas company. So we have the ability to expand that as well. So we'll do a bit of drilling there. Ambrosia Lake, we're looking at sort of a dual track permitting process to look at future work, but also a drill program for ISR there. And it's something that may provide an opportunity for a two-track because of the history of the project.
Interesting. Okay. Look, I think first things first is get the money raised and sort of get out of the market and give guidance as to how you're going to.
The other thing that's really valuable about having such a significant database is there was so much work done across New Mexico that there's a number of projects. For example, one of our projects is called Treeline. It's 1.5 million pounds historic resource. It was really discovered around the time of 3 Mile Island, so it stopped. And it didn't stop because they didn't find any additional. It just stopped work because the uranium prices were low and the market was soft. So there's a lot of projects that we have within the database that I envision the potential to see some opportunities to work with other people on joint ventures.
Oh, it's interesting. Okay, so it's Crown Point and Hosta first, but there's more to the portfolio. You look to strategic. Okay, interesting.
There's Crown Point Hosta Butte as the qualifying transaction, most advanced as the 43-101. But Nose Rock, Ambrosia Lake, these are all known projects that were developed by solid companies that have the ability to move into modern day 43-101 over the next, we say 2 of them going in the next year, and then advancing the other projects over time.
Right, okay, fantastic. With regards to your view of New Mexico as a destination, I mean, okay, great history to it. Is there sort of current or recent activity when it comes to uranium, and what are the kind of things that you've got to do to kind of, I guess, insert yourself into that ecosystem?
Yeah, so about 1.5 years ago, I started working with a company called Grants Energy that's owned by General Atomics, and they have the formerly called the Mount Taylor project. It's the Grants Precision ISR. It's a 170 million pound resource that's privately owned, and they're 1.5 years now into the planning with the goal of being a 8 million pound a year producer. They have done a significant amount of work in the community and with the regulators and advancing their programs and their permitting. So our collective effort with them has been to form what's called the Clean Energy Association of New Mexico. And the purpose of the association is to educate the community and bring awareness to in-situ recovery technology. historically, New Mexico, as a large producer, 40% of all uranium produced in the U.S., more resources than any other state, was all conventional mining. And it left some legacy issues. And they're valid. People have concerns about uranium extraction. But ISR was never implemented. There was a pilot project built on one of our sections. It was successful in and proven that our projects are amenable to ISR. And it did also do restoration work to bring things back to original use category. So with this, we're educating the community. We're in the community a lot. We're hosting a conference in the spring in outside of Albuquerque that's really about, all things nuclear in New Mexico. The only enrichment facility is in New Mexico in the United States. So there is a track record. We do need to acknowledge and address some of the issues of the past and bring people up so they can have necessary information for good decision making.
Like, to help me as a sort of non-US based citizen, where we're seeing from outside, it seems like the mining sector is kind of opening up. The government is encouraging, very actively encouraging mining regulation to change, to allow companies to more easily get after and produce the critical minerals and provide that mineral security that the US needs. I mean, how does that translate into New Mexico? How's that how's that actually operating and working on a broader, national scale?
And so in the United States, when it comes to ISR and conventional uranium mining, there's 4 agreement states. Utah, Colorado for conventional, Wyoming and Texas for ISR. So they operate differently because the states have devolved federal responsibilities. In New Mexico, they have not devolved those responsibilities to the state level. So you deal with the state and the federal government through the process for permitting. The federal government has implemented a program called Fast 41. And Fast 41, if you apply, you're qualified, you get in, it's there to help streamline the federal permitting process, which is very important and necessary. So that's underway. There's 4 projects now in New Mexico that are in Fast 41. It still requires a very close working relationship with the state. It's imperative that we work together to meet the goals of energy independence. And I see a real collaborative effort now building between the states and the federal government, which is going to be important because the permitting has historically been slow.
Okay. Well, it sounds like obviously doing a lot of work on the ground, which is imperative with new companies, new projects. It's also nice to see that kind of wealth of experience sort of sitting behind this, the weight of that experience sitting behind Verdera. Look, I'm sure you'll tell us more when you've got more to say, but appreciate you giving us a heads up on this one. So stay in touch. We'll see you soon after the raise, presumably.
Yes, and we have wrap it up with, we have a pending symbol as well. We'll be trading on the TSXV after the RTO that's with POC ML7, which is part of Power One, and the symbol will be V. Nice and simple.
Nice and simple. Okay. Well, Janet, appreciate your time today. We'll see you soon.
Thank you, Matt.